Kama tunavyojua vita ya Ukraini na Russia, ile vita imezidi kupamba moto na vita ni kali kweli kweli. Unaambiwa mavitu yanaribika, vitu vinaribika, manyumba yanavunjwa, vyakula vimekuwa vya shida. Kwa sasa hivi ule mji umekuwa ni mji wa njaa. Sasa hivi ukiangalia yenyewe wanajaribu kuomba msaada, lakini msaada unapata wapi? Msaada tu ndege ikionekana inatunguliwa, inaangushwa. Kwa hiyo ule mji umekuwa ni mji wa majanga. Sasa hivi ni mji mmoja hatari sana. Kwa hiyo ni hatari, na unaambiwa mipaka imezuiliwa, hamna mtu kutoka wala mtu kuingia. Kwa hiyo sisi tunachoangalia, unadhani hii vita itafika mpaka wapi? Na hii vita itaenda mpaka lini? Kwa sababu ilivyopamba moto, unaambiwa ni hatari. Mabomu yanayotumwa pale ni mabomu makubwa, mabomu ya nyuklia, haya ma-RPG, ni yale maslaha makubwa yanatumika pale, na sio maslaha madogo. Leo nimeotea update hapa, watu wanavyobebwa, wengine wamekufa, wengine mautiuti, wengine ni marehemu, ndugu na jamaa wanapoteza watu wao. Nenda kaangalie hii, alafu toa komenti yako, sema nini maoni yako. Je, unadhani Russia wakifanya kitu gani labda hii vita ipungue au hii vita iishe kabisa? Unafikiria nini mtazamaji?
Кто на Дворце труда, сворачиваемся в подразделение. В этом доме есть человек, вот в этом доме.
Last night there was a strike on a TV tower in which 5 people were killed and 5 people were injured. That has convinced many people here that it's time to leave the city. Many here are coming here without tickets for today. That's how desperate they are to get on a train in any way they can to any city they can westwards. I'm standing in front of a very tall television tower that was attacked last night. At least 4 rockets or missiles hit this area, including the building behind me. Inside, near the television tower, we spotted a pool of blood where one member of the territorial defense unit was heavily injured. There's debris everywhere, including pieces of the rocket. Currently, we're hearing blasts in the area, and so we're about to leave.
It is beyond humanity. This rocket strike proves that for many people in Russia, our Kiev is absolutely foreign. They don't know a thing about our capital, about our history.
Loud explosions once again reported from Kyiv. Ukrainian cities under attack and under siege by Russian forces as the world watches in horror. Here's ABC senior foreign correspondent Ian Pannell. Ian?
Juju, there are increasingly ominous signs that this battle is closing in on many of the cities around Ukraine. At least 5 of them look like they're surrounded, or at least semi-surrounded, including the second largest city of Kharkiv. Kherson potentially has been taken. If so, that certainly would be the largest city. And what we're seeing is a change in tactics, really. If in the initial stages what we saw was a ground invasion mainly led by infantry, by special forces, what we're now seeing is is increasing use for aerial bombardment, often hitting civilian areas. Juju?
Thanks, Ian. It's bombs hitting civilian targets like a university in Kharkiv and various apartment buildings that led the International Criminal Court to announce it was opening an investigation into possible Russian war crimes in Ukraine. As the U.S. warns, the humanitarian cost will only grow.
The bloodshed and body count rising. Ukrainian officials say over 2,000 people have been killed since the Russian attack began 1 week ago.
These aren't military targets. They are places where civilians work and families live. This is shameful.
But a menacing 40-mile line of Russian tanks and military vehicles on the approach to Kyiv seems to be making little progress.
The northern push by the Russians down towards the south, towards Kyiv, remains stalled.
To some extent, they're stuck in the mud.
The reason they're staying on the road is because the ground is wet. It's the springtime, the thaw is coming in, and tanks and wheeled vehicles hate the mud. They bog down in the mud. So it's actually good for the Ukrainians because it makes the Russians easy targets to pick off.
Resistance on the ground apparent. Videos circulating on social media showing hundreds blocking the road to Europe's largest nuclear power plant, forming a line more than a mile long. Plant officials denying Russia's claim that its troops control the facility.
It is the first time a military conflict is happening amidst the facilities of a large established nuclear power program.
It's incredible to see the fortitude and the patriotism of the Ukrainian people to be able to put their bodies without weapons in front of these vehicles to try and prevent them to move forward to take over their country.
Everyday civilians girding for a fight. My colleague Matt Gutman was at a machine shop in Lviv, where it's the sounds of the war effort that get your attention.
We have a guy from IT, an economist, and a mechanical engineer. Yeah. And now you're making steel traps for Russian tanks.
Yeah, to stop them.
To stop them.
That hedge of barricades and these spikes, they're weapons of defense. Across town, an art gallery turned makeshift manufacturing site. Hundreds of young people, mostly women, ripping fabric, cutting strips, those fast fingers weaving camouflage.
We are creating nets to hide our military forces from snipers and different Russian forces.
Before the war, Bodana was a college instructor. Now she oversees this wartime workshop.
You will stand in front of the tanks with your bodies.
Yes, yes. I don't want to live in the country under Russia.
It's a different kind of fight being waged in the Children's Hospital of Ukraine in Kyiv. The staff risking their own lives on behalf of the more than 190 kids under their care. Since the war began, many of them are hiding underground in the basement. It's not just the sick here, but the wounded. 13-year-old Vova was badly injured when the family car came under attack. His father and cousin were killed. Now he fights for his life in intensive care. His mother agreed to let us film. She wants the world to see the horrors inflicted on the children.
My emotion, I believe in victory. I believe in maybe in future, tomorrow, maybe next week or next month, I see some in our clinic.
As the war enters this dangerous phase, the refugee crisis only increasing exponentially. 1 million people have now fled Ukraine, according to the United Nations Human Rights Council. For the most part, Ukraine's neighbors welcoming the refugees with open arms. A warm drink and a hug in Moldova. In Slovakia, a chance to watch cartoons. Small comforts to ease the pain. But some refugees say they haven't received as warm a welcome. Some non-white refugees fleeing Ukraine have reported discrimination from extremist groups patrolling border zones. My colleague Marcus Moore spoke with visitors at a makeshift refugee center outside a bus station in Korszowa, Poland.
When you left Liper, how was it easy to leave there, and how did you get to this point?
Once we were leaving, we were letting the women and the children go. The police in Ukraine, were taking some men. I said, "Why? How is it possible? You just said only women and children. So now you are taking Ukrainian white people. Why? Are we not people like them?
Pira Diane Tuadi has been living in Dnipro, Ukraine for 9 years. He fled a war in the Congo to come to Europe. Now he's a refugee once again.
What should people know?
Think about people of color, especially black, because it's not easy. It's not easy for us now in Poland. So please, just help us.
The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees.
Any person or anyone.
So I'm picking up some stranded refugees just right outside the border with Ukraine.
Yet amidst the crisis,